On the morning of Monday, the 6th of January 1862, after Charlotte was cheeky to the assistant laundress, the chaplain placed her in solitary confinement for 2 days in the Lady Superintendent's bathroom in the main tower. She was allowed out to sleep in her own bed that night, but the following morning,
she had again been placed in the bathroom with a view of separating her from the others. Her dinner had been taken to her about 3 o'clock, when lucifer matches were left with her to enable her to light her fire. She was visited again about 4:30 o'clock, but unfortunately, the young woman who should have taken her tea to her about 5:30 o'clock forgot to do so, and did not think of it until the middle of the prayer meeting. About 8:30, on opening the door, she saw the poor girl lying on her back in front of the window, dead, from the effects of the fire, evidently caused by a lucifer match used to light the gas.
The subsequent investigation revealed that although 2 orphans had reported hearing screams at about 6 o'clock, the matron in charge had assumed that Charlotte was merely throwing a tantrum and scolded them instead. Too scared to say anything more, the girls sat at prayers in the main hall, terrified and listening for further screams from the tower above. The case of the girl Bennett became a national cause célèbre, the subject of a highly critical editorial in the Times and of questions in the House of Commons. Charlotte was just 17 when she died, but she had already experienced more in her short life than most of us do in a lifetime. That she should survive all the hardships of 19th century army life, perilous sea voyages, deadly tropical diseases and barrack room fires, only to die at the heart of the British Empire in an orphanage intended to care for her, is a tragic irony. Given the tragedy, it is not surprising that several people claim to have seen the ghost of a young Victorian woman around the building. In August 1987, a carpenter was working in what are today the cellars of Le Gothic restaurant when a girl in Victorian clothing appeared in the doorway and stood watching him in silence. Believing she must be a student from the drama school in period costume, he continued with his work. Only afterwards was he told that the school was on holiday at the time. The terrified carpenter refused to go back down into the cellar, even to collect his tools. After breakfast, the girls were marched out again. While the younger ones went to classes, the elders had to work all day, some in the vast kitchen preparing meals for 300, others in the laundry doing the washing and ironing. The biggest chore was keeping the building clean, however. The floors were especially hard work. Dinner was at 12:30 and the main meal of the day. It was always the same every week: stew on Mondays and Fridays, roast lamb on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays. It was during this concert in 1928 that the minutes of the school management committee record the Lady Superintendent died while carrying out her duties. Frances, however, tells a different story.
We were all sitting round and they were entertaining us, and it came to half-time. They were going to have a drink, you see. So Madam Hill got up and she said, "Now you all sit quiet until they come back." And with that she went out the door, and away she went. Well, another matron said, "Just talk between yourselves." Well, you just talk between yourselves, don't you, you know. And back came Madam Hill after about half hour. And of course we were all nattering and she was rough-mouthed. She said, "That's it, the party's off." And that's it. And away she went up the corridor. Next I heard she was dead. She got out the door and there was all lockers along that corridor where we used to keep our weekday clothes. And she collapsed and she hung on to these lockers. She died.
Understandably, the girls' memories are dominated by the army-like discipline at the orphanage and their unsympathetic treatment at the hands of the staff there.
They were all very stern, the matrons. I never saw one of them smile. It was all not much play and everybody had jobs to do, or else you're sitting knitting. Nobody gave you a cuddle and say, "Never mind, dear," or something like that. You were always told, "Call yourself a daughter of a soldier." You know, you weren't allowed to smile, cry and think if you hurt yourself.
At the Royal Victoria Patriotic School, we stress the importance of searching with the utmost care all luggage and personal belongings brought in by the refugees. This was usually done after they had made their preliminary statements and before they were given a detailed interrogation, which may well be based upon clues picked up during a search of their effects. The school contained a large room empty of all furniture except for a long bare table and chairs drawn up either side of it. We called this the lumber room. Every morning, an examiner would sit at the table with the belongings of his clients spread out in front of him. They would examine, sometimes with a powerful magnifying glass, the suitcases, briefcases, wallets, pocketbooks, correspondence, fountain pens, spectacle cases, tobacco pouches, cigarette cases, and bunches of keys, and all other paraphernalia brought in by the refugees. Once they were passed, they were pushed to one side. The room looked like a cross between a customs examination and the vicarage jumble sale.
In all this, the whole process was greatly facilitated by the informal and even friendly atmosphere that prevailed at the Royal Patriotic School. The interrogators recognised that the vast majority of the refugees were not only genuine, but had overcome considerable hardship to reach Britain. Most interviews were conducted in a relaxed manner, and this probably encouraged those being questioned to divulge more readily and fully what information they had. The enormous variety of information that was acquired in the interrogations about living and travelling conditions in enemy-occupied Europe was of great interest to Britain's other clandestine organisations too. The Secret Intelligence Service, MI6, and the Special Operations Executive both maintained a presence there, as did MI9, which was responsible for teaching escape and evade techniques to Allied aircrew in the event they were shot down over enemy territory.